Welcome to This Week in Guns, a podcast that covers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. Brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challen from Gun Guy Radio. Brownells helps make this show possible. Selection, service, satisfaction. Find it all at Brownells. Please visit our affiliate link at thisweekinguns.com/Brownells. And this week we have a great panel. As always, we have Peter Palma, inventor of the Emma's Clean Kit, former Marine sniper, and Top Shot reality show contestant. Hey, Peter.
Meow, 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 meow.
And we're off.
And we have John Cast, or why do I call you John?
How are we doing this? Are we doing it at the same time?
We have Josh Cast, pardon me, or also known as Whitey from Four Guys Guns. Hey, Josh.
Thanks for having me again, Jake. Pleasure to be here as always.
And we have John Patton, the proprietor of the I'm With Chaos YouTube channel. Hey, John.
Lord have mercy. We got to do this, man. Whitey's just shaking his head. This is going to be fun.
I
love both of these. I'm so excited.
Can you play that music you're playing in slowly in the background the whole time?
What, Funky Town that I was playing before the show?
Is that what it was?
So,
all right. Well,
can I tell the listeners at home about our new tradition?
Okay, go for it.
So what we've been doing, the past couple weeks prior to going live is, we sit here and we chit-chat for a minute to get warmed up and look at the articles that we're going to talk about. And Jake, a few weeks ago, decided to start playing music for all of us. And it comes across, nice and clear, and we can hear it all. But it's like the first week was 80s week, then we had early 90s hip-hop, and this week it was just Funky Town. It was like an 8-minute rendering of Funky Town. It was so good.
Hey, whatever gets you warmed up. It's like Nicolas Cage on Gone in 60 Seconds Before
Yes.
the Cars.
Or The Rock.
Just gotta get warmed up. All right. Well, let's get into the top stories of this week. First one is sad but true. Vet group cancels festivities for Veterans Day over school officials' fear of guns. Now, John, I think Josh or Peter was in here when I played the TV clip of this, and in the show notes here, there's a link to the Washington Examiner, and then they have a video that you can watch. But it's pretty ridiculous what some of the school board officials say that they're afraid to have guns there at all. Not because I don't know if you've ever been to a Veterans Day event where the vets will shoot do like a 21 gun salute with blanks, and apparently, the school didn't want that, and they didn't even want the vets with their guns at all. And these are old, bolt-action Springfield 1903s or something.
Yeah, if it's a Springfield, it's a 1903. This whole thing is just depressing. On the front that I guess the vet program really couldn't do much. They wanted to go to the school and educate some young people, and the school was like, no, we don't want any guns anywhere near here because some kids are skittish. Like, what? What are they? What are they, cats now? They're afraid of loud noises. What kind of kids are you raising here? What's that all about? And now we were.
That would be awesome if they were cats.
And now these veterans are now forced to have their super cool ceremony at Burger King of all places.
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah, I mean, it's so sad. I wish that
it would have made sense if it were Chipotle. But no, it had to be Burger King.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just awful.
Well, and the school board's justification was that we just live in different times now. We've had all these school shooting incidents and everything. I'm like, what? You're expecting these veterans to come shoot up the school?
With blanks, no less.
They're all going to snap at the same exact moment, and it'll be on CNN.
I mean,
Wouldn't you want
70-year-old throws out his hip while shooting up a school. What's going on? You know what I mean? Like, good Lord.
What town is this in?
It's in Wisconsin. We got a bus.
Oh, God.
I mean, personally, I would want a vet at my school with a gun, with a real gun, with real bullets.
Yeah, that was one thing somebody thought up along the time. I don't want to take credit for it, but I agreed it was a good idea. You have all these returning veterans, right? Some of them do or do not have jobs. Take the stable ones, and in essence, be like school, like police officer / security. You could have a veteran in there who knows how to use a carbine or assault rifle in the office. If something were to happen, every school's got somebody trained with this, able to respond to that. You know what I mean? It is kind of sad that that's what you're at. You know what I mean? But we live in the real world, and what else can you do? But like I said, that's actually a good point to have an actual veteran in a school with a gun. So
I hope they get invaded by Canada. This is stupid. They should be ashamed of themselves, plain and simple.
Yeah.
It's how dare you moment. Like, the whole world should just slap them right upside the head and be like, are you dumb? Like, honestly. It's a national holiday.
Family friendly.
Because I'm holding back the F-bombs right now.
I got my pen right here.
It's the whole fact they could sit in a school relatively safe, you know what I mean, from like Nazis coming in or anybody, is because of there's veterans with guns especially. Okay, whatever. You want to jump on the bandwagon of, like, civilians with guns you don't like, blah, 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 blah. Like, whatever. If that makes any sense.
It's not a bandwagon at this point. It's like, that rut that the bandwagon went down? It's still kind of over in that corner there if you want to follow it. Like,
who doesn't want a military? Who doesn't want, like, a military? And you know what I mean?
So, I do have to point out we're 7 minutes in the program, and Peter already threw out the Nazi card.
Playing the Nazi card early.
I've been watching a lot of Nazi stuff, so there's
also a good.
I don't want to get on the subject, but there's this one show called Nazi Hunters, and I thought it would be like, and some of them are like people are like, oh hey, this guy went to Bolivia, and let's look, you're a Nazi, you went to Bolivia, and then like the press come at him, and that's what it is. But there's also like the Jewish state had people like, oh, this dude's a Nazi. Let's just go execute him. And they'd be like, hey, you're what you call? And he's like, no, I'm not. And they're like, yeah, you are. Boom. And they would just be blowing people's heads off and like leaving their bodies with notes on them like, this dude was a Nazi. We killed him. Here's his body. You may want to get rid of it before the blowflies start coming.
Cue George Bush.
How did you come up with this?
This is all. I didn't come up with it. This is on TV. You could go watch this on Netflix.
Yeah, I saw it.
Nazi Hunters is awesome. I'm like, yeah, shoot them. I really hate Nazis.
So, moving on, we have another Veterans Day story here. Gun store owner's Veterans Day message draws nationwide criticism.
Oh, I read this.
Yeah. This is a
video.
This guy posted on Facebook. This is in Birmingham, Alabama, and he says, "For my yearly Veterans Day speech to all veterans, you are not heroes. You got paid to learn how to fight and kill for profit. You served your leader, you followed the rules, and made it out of whatever country you terrorized alive," said Michael Schuett.
Yeah, if you hear him read his own words aloud, because he is for the most part, it sounds even dumber than if you were to read it. Not saying that you're dumb, but like it sounds like you picked a dude who only dug holes for his life, and then that's what he's doing. So, unfortunately, some of it, I could kind of sympathize with some of the stuff he's saying. It is unfortunate that there's the military-industrial complex, and there's people that have, the people that cause these wars, sometimes they have agendas and things like that. But, as being a veteran, I joined believing I was, you don't join man, I cannot wait to, fight for the military-industrial complex and, kill a bunch of innocent people, you know what I mean? That's not why, and nobody joins for that reason, you know what I mean? If that were to it may happen afterwards, you know what I mean, realizing that you may have been duped, or you may have been lied to a little bit here or cheated a little bit, but nobody joins thinking that's what they're doing. You know what I mean? You join for those reasons that you're told, for that propaganda, if you will, or whatever, or may not even be propaganda. Maybe what you actually believe, and that's what I believed. That I was joining the fight for my country, and people had took down the towers, and we were gonna do what we needed to do, and so it's unfortunate that some of that is actually kind of true. But the thing is, it's not we should have learned this from Vietnam. It is not the veterans' fault, and this is one thing I learned. Where just for Veterans Day, my neighbors, they have two little children. One's like 9 and one's like 7, and they wanted me to come to their school and talk, and I did. And it's just like, when I was a kid, they didn't do that. And I lived in an area where and none of these other people's families did it either. So it was like, you should have learned from Vietnam that you don't treat your veterans like that. It's not their fault that there's politicians do horrible things. And for a gun shop owner to say that, yeah, I mean, you might as well just do something else with your life. You might as well just buy some work boots, dude. Because come on, you should have learned that lesson from Vietnam, that it's not the veterans' fault what happened. They didn't choose to go do that. Nobody wants to kill innocent people. You know what I mean? That's just what happens. It's war.
I think he lost a bet with Alex Jones. That's what I think.
Who's that?
From what's his website?
Infowars. And I purposely never put that website in the show.
Yeah, this guy is a clown. He claims, it was misplaced anger, and I am angry at the machine that sends out children to war senselessly. Then why are you calling out the people that are being sent? Why are you're taking out your aggression on the people that are being sent instead of who is sending them, where, in this theory, that should be placed. I don't understand that logic. And of course, he's one of those guys, I just said something on Facebook. I didn't expect anybody to see it. It's
not for nothing. He really is the poster child for an Alabama citizen, let alone someone who owns. From us Yankees up here in the north, he looks like he's an Alabama.
I was saying, I can't get on that. Alabama's pretty close to here. So.
But if I looked at it, I'd be like, Alabama, Arkansas, around there.
Yeah, he really does look like a class act. I'm surprised this guy's a business owner. And they're, of course, trying to kind of give him a little bit of the victim edge here. People were sending him emails and text messages, and good. I hope his business burns to the ground. That's pathetic. You don't say things like that, especially not on Veterans Day. What are you doing, man? Why are you going as a business owner and publicly bashing these people that you're supposed to be supporting, especially when you're trying to sell firearms, which is, I mean, our entire industry is chock full of great veterans. I mean, just guys that put their life on the line, and without those type of people in our industry, he wouldn't have what he has. He wouldn't have a business selling guns. Our industry would not be as strong as it is without veterans. And here he is going off on some stupid rant, and it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
1,400 emails, 200 text messages.
I mean, you should. I don't know any gun owner who should buy a gun from this guy again. It's just it's ridiculous. And he only feels bad now because he's getting all of that, all this negative attention.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
He's backpedaling. Just if you're going to own it, own it.
If he got positive support in any way, I'm sure he would have stood up on top of that soapbox even taller. You know what I mean? Oh, look what I said. I'm a leader now. Blah 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 blah. But he got chin checked a little bit, and now he's kind of crawling into a hole.
Revealed the NRA's best election in over a decade, won 91% of races. So this is on the Washington Examiner, and so apparently,
races I thought the same thing. I'm like, races What are you talking about? I know they have Colin Noir or whatever his name is, but what are you talking about? You know?
Holy crap! Here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. They won it over. But no, they meant like political races, like, electoral races.
Yeah. I think articles like this are awesome.
They bet all their money on the ponies, and they came out on top.
What frustrates me about the title here is that it says the NRA's best election, as if they own gun owners.
Right.
Wow, that just frustrates the hell out of me.
This is the kind of article that shows the world that, man, the NRA is really running the show. Because at the end of the day, a little personal insight to the life of Whitey. My mom, super anti-gun. I said to her, "You know what, Mom? I'm really pissed, and I think I'm going to pick a fight with the NRA." You know what her response to me was? Please don't do that. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. And the mythological creature that is the NRA is apparently just going to send suited men, with the black on black with like the red tie, like Hitman or whatever. They're just going to murk me at my front door for being disgruntled with them. I said, Mom, that's not how the NRA works. If anything, I'll get a email from a lawyer before someone actually subpoenas me.
Oh, you'll get emails. Don't worry.
Oh,
The
yeah.
NRA, you'll get emails.
I was like, they're money.
They won't. That's silly, Josh. They won't murk you at the front door. They'll wait till you're at the range, and it'll be an accidental discharge.
Either that, or they'll send Black Hawk helicopters full of candy.
But this type of article is what promotes that, that big mythological creature that the NRA is just like a bunch of big guys with guns that are going to enforce this. But it's like, no, like people, this type of article is clearly not written by someone who is pro-gun because the title alone says it. It's the NRA. No, the NRA is protecting rights. If the NRA was put in charge of First Amendment, then they'd be all about it. But because it's something that so many people have like a stigma on, it's the NRA's fault. No, jackass. It's the person who did something illegal. It's their fault. Mark the timestamp, Jake. I said jackass.
You can say that and say, okay. So it says, according to this article, that NRA, lobbied candidates. Saw 229 of those NRA-backed candidates win out of the 251 that were endorsed by the NRA.
Well, thank God they have people that are fighting for rights.
Yeah, I mean, they're necessary evil, I suppose. But they're coming around. They are a lot better than they used to be. You have to give them that. They're trying. They're trying.
I only got 2 ILA requests this month.
See, I don't get anything. I told them to stop. But
Like, I might just become a lifetime member so they stop bothering me.
Yeah,
No,
that's
You'll still get the ILA, the defense fund stuff or whatever.
pro tip. If you want the NRA to stop filling your mailbox with junk mail, just become a life member.
That's what I thought.
no, I'm a life member. I still had to tell them to stop. So,
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, so I think someone's at the door. Is it the NRA? I'll be right back. So LA ordinance would require gun owners to store firearms in locked containers. So, yeah, just making it a little bit safer one locked container at a time in LA.
Can I just throw a question out there? How on earth do they plan to enforce this?
It's kind of like I would imagine they're not going to go around to search, but like if they were in your house and you had a gun that wasn't locked up, or if something were to happen where it wasn't locked, that's just another law they can get you on. So that's like a law you broke. So like, say there's a gun right here. So say somebody picks it up and blows their brains out with it or shoots himself in the foot. Like, there's no legal repercussions against him. I'm like, this guy's an idiot. He shot himself with my gun. But then there's a law.
That's what you have.
What?
You have a civil lawsuit on your hands, but not any criminal action.
Yeah. So now there's a criminal.
Yeah, because in LA, it's really a slower moving town, and criminals typically take the time to allow you to defend yourself. When the heat is on, you really want to be careful and step by step open a safe or a locked container and then withdraw your firearm and protect yourself. You know, that's the way it works. That's what my understanding.
This is all about the children, John. You're not. No, seriously. At the end of the article, it talks about how kids are just finding these guns at home and they're bringing them to school and then shooting everyone.
And I think that proves Peter's point even further, is that it's one more thing. So now it's not just a civil thing, it's we can actually put someone in jail for this. Which when you buy a firearm, it usually, at least in New Hampshire and Connecticut and Mass and Maine, you get a piece of paper saying by providing this firearm to somebody else or by, keeping it in range of children, yada yada, there is already legal repercussions. So I mean, I'm sure it varies state by state. I think this could tie in very easily to an article Jake has coming up later on that maybe we can segue into at some point or reference one to the other about Connecticut.
Go ahead and segue away.
Oh, segue. So I mean, aside from the legality and finding something that we can slap on somebody, so somebody pays the price for an unfortunate accident or somebody doing something stupid like leaving your gun in possession of a kid, how would they enforce that? Well, it's great because this is how Democrats lose more people, because you do have Democratic gun owners and you want to violate Fourth Amendment rights. Well, the only way to really get around that is to get into something like what's happening in Connecticut. I even marked it. Police now come knocking after funerals in search of guns. Anyone who doesn't see this as a little kickstand on a door to keep it open is, I think, a little bit blind. So when you die in New York, they cross-reference your name with your concealed carry permit.
Mm-hmm.
And they will come knock on your door and ask to search your house.
And it didn't in the article. Exactly. It didn't. I was looking to see. It didn't say one way or the other, which probably means the one way. It didn't say like, "Oh, we're gonna come to knock on the door, check to make sure everything's cool." Because their premise was, "All right, we're gonna knock on your door," because sometimes the family doesn't know there's pistols, and then somehow they end up on the streets magically, right? So like, my grandmother dies. She's got a bunch of guns because she's awesome, and I don't know about it somehow, and somehow those go from there to on the street. Like, I don't know how that happens. But anyway, say that were to happen. So now, but they didn't mention whether they would go and they have rights to them or not. They wouldn't say they could go into the house or not. So you have to assume that they would be. So what else are they going to knock and be like, "Oh, hey, there's guns here. Where are they? Are they cool? Like, do they have to legally what's happening?" They don't mention that part. So I assume the worst.
Let's talk about how they know that there are guns.
Exactly.
Let's talk about that a second. Let's talk about the fact that the police commissioner, Daniel Derenda of Buffalo, New York, thinks that he has the legal right to take possession of something that should be entitled to your family. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that they're stomping all over the fact that you bought something legally. You legally possessed it in your home. There's no issues there. We're assuming everybody's legal here. And on top of that, they're going to go, "No, that belongs to us now." Whoa, 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 whoa. Back the train up.
Right.
Who do you think you are? Who do you really think you are stepping all over people like that? You are you're the scum of the earth trying to walk into somebody's house and say, "Nah, that's mine now. That guy's gone. That family member you just lost, we're taking his stuff. See you later." Unacceptable. Absolutely atrocious.
And his car, and his Carhartts, and his cricket blades, and...
I mean, there's nothing that gets me this fired up. Somebody just lost a family member, and you're going to come to their house and claim that somehow you have a legal right to their possessions because it's a firearm? What planet were you born on? This is America. We don't do things like that. You can't just take somebody's stuff. You can't do that. There are constitutional rights against that. What the hell is going on here? How is this acceptable?
Well, some would say because the Second Amendment was written for a time when the British were coming.
The Second Amendment says nothing about possession rights.
It says nothing about the British either.
This is from townhall.com. D.C. police employee on concealed carry. This is when back in July, in Washington, D.C., ban on concealed and open carry of handguns was struck down by the U.S. District Court. And Emily Miller, author of Emily Gets Her Gun, had started the process of applying for concealed carry permit in the district. And while one of her encounters with D.C. Police Department and their rigorous and annoying process for obtaining a permit, they said, well, first of all, it went through all this crap about how you have to meet the criteria of proving your life is in danger. And
right, because
it's not enough that you live in a high crime area where there's a high ratio of rapes going on and violent crime going on.
Well, that's like this is like a legal caveat that happens not just with firearms but with other stuff. So like they can't ban stuff and make it like illegal because like that's going too far and people won't do it. So like it's like turning up the pot in essence. Like if you throw frogs in boiling water, they jump out, but if you turn up slowly, they just boil to death. But so it's like it's not illegal, and you have the right to do it. Caveat. Bloom. So they do that a lot. It's like, well, that always happens. They protect themselves with that like elastic clause kind of, where it's like it's not illegal, but you have the right and everything, but here's this caveat, which we're not going to accept in reality. You know what I mean? Go away.
That's what it's like in Jersey and Maryland, I believe. They're considered may issue states instead of shall issue like the rest of the United States that's got their heads on somewhat straight. you can when in a may issue permit state, they can basically tell you to pound sand whenever you want. If you want to protect yourself, they're like, well, we've got this huge list of stuff or these ridiculous criteria for you to meet, and if you don't, see you later. And it's depressing. And I thought we were taking a positive step with DC. I thought we were moving in the right direction by them opening the doors to firearm possession and things like that. I mean, we had talked previously about a guy going to jail for having shotgun shells and musket balls in his house, and then then we were like, oh, cool. They're kind of relaxing on the gun laws there and going in our favor, and now this is happening. Come on, what are we really doing here? What are we really doing?
This all stems from, and they mention it in this article, something I followed when I first started doing Four Guys Guns, and that was Emily Gets Her Gun. I followed it a bit on Twitter and Facebook, and I think I liked it because the more she posted about it, like I don't even know if she realized what she was doing, but the more she started posting what she was going through and the loopholes and the jumping and the more social media traction she got, it really shone a light on someone like DC. So DC now has this burden to bear where everything they think they're doing that's progressive is still not good enough, and the whole country is starting to ride them on it. So, I mean, just the hypocrisy of it all really just highlights what is going on in DC as a whole, and it's more than just gun rights. And now we're not going to get on another political tirade here, but bureaucracy and the BS that goes along with just going through it. And they made a comment about you have to get trained by their trainers. So cool. This particular author went to Gunsight, 60+ hours of training, both classroom and actually firing and manipulating, all that fun stuff. Not good enough. Now Gunsight's a nationally recognized facility.
Awesome. Yeah.
But DC knows better. They don't know much is what I'm gathering, and if they don't have a trainer available or seats are full, plus it's $400, I don't know a single trainer that makes $400 a head, and I know some trainers. $400 a head. Are you kidding me?
That's a lot.
I mean, this is bureaucracy at its finest, and every time something like this happens, it's on the news, and people are highlighting it more and more. It's been on Fox, it's been on CNN, it's been on even MSLSD. It's all over the place, and I like it because it's highlighting a broader spectrum problem while still maintaining focus on the actual issue that DC needs to get their head out of their ass, because the people eventually are just not going to care at all anymore about these rules on paper.
Yeah, I mean, the more this kind of stuff keeps happening, you kind of for lack of a better way of putting it, you dangle the carrot in front of people. Eventually, they're going to find a way to get that carrot, whether you like it or not. I don't want to sound doomsday, kind of end of the world, but the people will stand up and they will take their rights back. It will happen. It will.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hurrah!
It's a lot easier to blow trains up than to make them run on time. Remember that.
Oh, thank you, Peter. Peter, I love you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the gun store employees that stopped a mental patient plotting mass murder.
Wow. You definitely don't hear about that super often.
Here goes the shell game again. I already had the next article lined up, ready to... Nope. Jake's got different plans.
No, okay. So this happened in Austin, Texas. This guy went to Michael Cargill's gun store in hopes of buying a gun to shoot up the mental hospital that refused to treat him. This is a little bit from the interview of the gun store employee. He says, before he fills out the paperwork, he yells at me, "You know what? I want a gun. I want a SIG. I want to make sure you guys have the ammunition for it. I'm going to go over there to the hospital. I'm going to shoot everyone in that hospital." Yeah, and then it said the employee pressed the silent alarm.
Oh, this is good. I'm gonna be back here in about an hour. I need 500 rounds of ball, 500 rounds of wad cutter, 500 rounds of the ones that explode. I'm gonna need some training rounds, inaudible. You can shoot people with those and they're fine. What? I'm so glad they stopped this guy.
I've been reefing on that silent alarm.
Yeah. This is real.
I don't know. Kind of what I got out of it is the dude wanted to be admitted and they wouldn't admit him, so he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna go gun." Kind of like the guy who robs McDonald's for $1, and then because he has cancer or something like that, and then he goes to jail and they take care of his cancer in jail. Something because he couldn't get health care. Yeah. I think that's kind of. I don't know, but I think that's kind of what's going on here.
Yeah, apparently he had a hospital bracelet on because he was at the hospital. Yeah, he was there earlier in the day.
Just to really sell it.
Yeah.
That's an interesting...
It would be awesome if he had the thing where it was tied in the back.
The IV bag?
Well, that would be crazy, but the thing where you have to tie in the back of your butt hangs out.
So instead of suicide by cop, you're talking about getting treatment through threats. It's
yeah.
It's sad that that's a possibility. That's a real possibility.
Interesting.
That's what it says here. Though. Sadly, it took publicity plotting felony homicide in front of responsible gun shop employees for the serious mental ill man to get started down the road to mental health care that he obviously desperately needs. So hopefully the hospital won't reject him again. I would think not. Nailed it!
So, Whitey, I'll throw it back to you. What article were you going to segue to next?
Okay. Connecticut case seeks to overturn firearm and magazine bans. That's what was the next one on your list was.
I totally meant
I wasn't hoping and praying for that. I was just let's keep this article up while Jake...
I totally meant to do that. Lost my place in the show notes, so I just grabbed one.
Awesome. Grabbing at straws.
Hey, I'll let you kick this one off, Whitey.
Oh, I'm originally from Connecticut, New York first, then Connecticut, and I know a lot of people, including certain family members, who recently have become falling back in love with firearms. And I asked them, I was like, "Did you register your gun? Did you register your magazines? Things like that?" And they're a little bit older, "Yeah, I follow the laws." And it's one, that's proof that you're only hurting those who abide the laws, and two, what were you thinking? But it's interesting to me because I'm allowed to, for instance, take my rifles and my PMags, 30, 40, 60 round Surefire mags, whatever, down there. I'm allowed to take them into the state because I'm not from there and I'm going via an interstate highway from private residence to private residence. I'm totally legit. I can even shoot them. if I go to a range or anything like that, I am not allowed to load the magazines past the state limit, which is also interesting. But that's the only way they ever. Wait a minute, he fired 11 rounds out of that, so let's call the cops. And then I'm like in position of an, and they just confiscate. So I mean, I talked to the state police for a bit because I go back and forth, and I wanted to make sure that I'm not putting my entire livelihood at risk by doing something like, I don't know, shooting a firearm the way it's intended to be shot. So it's interesting to see that there's actually Shu versus Malloy initiated on May 22nd, 2013, which is pretty cool because it's pretty soon after they kind of ramrodded that thing through the state.
Ramrod.
Kind of ramrod. And it's good to see that they're hopefully, it's unfortunate because it's like that's what those laws do is they consume time and they consume resources and they consume legal battles because it's like, yeah, we know it's unconstitutional, but we're going to go ahead and ram it through everyone, makes everyone feel really good, and from there, we'll just let them fight for it if they really want it. And that's kind of, the whole guilty till innocent situation pops in, and it can happen to inanimate objects as well because of a lack of understanding. So that's why that one stuck out to me.
So this is one where the NRA has filed a front of the court brief as well. Be real interesting how it hammers out, and do you think? I don't know. I guess that's might be the only hope Connecticut has is through the court rather than through legislation.
I love the fact that there are so many unregistered firearms in Connecticut. I love it because that's just it's the ultimate like just middle finger without in the way that Connecticut does it, where it's like, oh yeah, I heard about that. And that's it. Like, do you have any guns? I heard about that law, yeah. Did you register your guns? I don't even remember saying I had any. Well, do you? The weather really is strange in New England. It's Connecticut, and it's double speak, and it's political correct, and you put a smile on, and everything's great, and I'm not moving back there.
Let's talk about something not so depressing, like the first look at Springfield Armory's new XD, their Mod 2 compact.
You missed the best one.
Yeah, whose phone can I hear vibrate?
I'm moving it. Sorry, my apologies. I have many leather-bound books, and as public will text me, but not be on the show.
So, Springfield is releasing a 3-inch version of their subcompact that has a new grip zone. Has a narrower grip, and it's stippled right into the gun. It says grip zone right there, which drives me crazy.
I'm always holding it like by the top, and so like I'm glad that they did this because I like can never figure out like how to hold on to it, and now I just read it. It's on there right there. They should though really put it in different languages so that everybody knows.
Place your fingers here, dumbass.
Yeah.
So for those of you at home, let's kind of walk you through this gun. It's essentially an updated XD9 subcompact. There's not a whole lot of workings or reworking done to the internals, as far as I'm aware. It's really just an aesthetic thing. They tweaked the grip a little bit. My question is, why the subcompact and why the XD9 as opposed to an XDM? I don't really understand why they're still harping on that. I love my XD. I have an XD9 V10, and I absolutely love it. But you kind of wonder where their head's at with this. So they tweaked a little bit of the slide. It's still got the telltale Springfield stuff, the logo, and they changed the rear serrations. And other than that, the only addition looks to be the grip texturing and shape. It's got a little bit more contours, and on the front and rear, it's got I guess the best way to put it is stippling. It's got some traction material, and that's cool. Sure, that's cool, but it's still a design that's pretty old, and I would like to see it updated, along the lines of an XDM. I'm not really sure why they changed this older gun and not one of their newer guns. It's kind of weird.
Well, for those of you at home wondering, I've been doing a little research here, and to translate that into Spanish would be Zona Grip. And have it in Japanese would be Gripuzan, Gripuzan, something like that. So
Nice.
there you go.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah.
I was just talking about this with Nick earlier today, and it's funny because he's like, "This is stupid," yeah, and everyone is harping on this whole grip zone thing. But like Chaos had said, there are some modifications to the outside that personally I think this thing's probably going to sell. As ridiculous as that sounds, this thing's going to sell. I'll tell you why. This picture in this article doesn't really do a lot of justice, but if you go to their webpage, you can see a lot more. I'm sure there's a link in here somewhere if I click.
There's actually really good detailed pictures at the bottom of the article. If you scroll all the way down, they've got a lot.
Oh, yeah. Those are right from the website. All right, so look at the dovetail for one. Look at the undercut at the mag release. Look at the texturing of the grip and the contour. Look at all these things. Now, the only thing that most experienced shooters are going to really kind of regret about this is the high bore axis, which, everyone, you either love it or you hate it. Most people hate it, but at the same time, it still puts bullets down range. Here's why I think this thing's going to sell. It's going to sell because the largest demographic growing, like skyrocket growing over the past 3 years has been women and has been minorities. Now, with that being said, this, despite the language barrier of where I put my fingers, these people aren't actively seeking training. There are some that are, like they'll take their basic NRA course or their pistol permit course, things like that, but no one's actively seeking training to learn how to better manipulate and handle these firearms. This has all the things in place needed for a smaller framed person, smaller hand, better articulation and better placement of their hands, and it's labeled. This is like the idiot-proof gun. So you can actually go to the gun store, even the guys who don't really know much about anything modern, because they all want you to buy a Browning, they can say, put your hand in grip zone 1, put your hand in grip zone 2. Your middle finger is going to go exactly where it should be without you having to try and learn 5 years down the road that you can undercut, you can stipple. It's going to have a good grip. It's already contoured. I've spoken to several women, one specifically today, who was like, I really love my Ruger. And I'm like, cool, because that's like the most used gun in crimes is that Ruger. And she was like, well, it's got this contour. Put an M&P 9C in her hand, and she was super happy. And that's, of course, a much better gun. I can't stand the grip safety on XDs, but I'm telling you, with the up-and-coming demographics, this gun is probably going to sell.
Right, and that's a huge selling factor for those same demographics because it's safety, more safety. People are more comfortable with it. New people are more comfortable with it. It's a peace of mind thing for newbies.
I agree. This is definitely going to sell. It's definitely a big improvement on a standard, older XD subcompact. I don't think any of us disagree there. This is definitely an improvement. I have this brings a lot of questions to my mind. Like I said earlier, why not the XDM? Well, now another question: why not the XDS? I carry an XDS. Why do that to this? I understand that it's double stack, and they kind of apparently slimmed this gun up a little bit. But my understanding was that the XDM and the XDS were their flagship models now. And here they are taking an older one and kind of revamping it. It's kind of, I don't know. I'm just
maybe a test bed.
Yeah, they need to be doing what HK is doing. Like pretty much, we've been making horrible, expensive junk for years now. Here's a $200 rebate, so you could buy it all up, and we don't have to make it anymore. And we have actually a gun that pretty much is a Glock copy that everybody wants anyways.
This thing just screams beginner to me. I mean, so every time you ever handed somebody something with a slide for the first time, how do they try and rack that slide? And now look at, they're beautiful if you ask me, the rear cocking serrations. I think they look fantastic, but look specifically at the one closest to the rear. Think of how everyone tries to rack a slide the first time, or even people maybe done it once or twice. They grab their first finger and their thumb, and they try and pull it back like a slingshot. Look at where the biggest groove is. This whole thing screams entry-level market to me, and it's probably going to fly like a Civic in Lowell, Mass.
Having sold many guns, this is an easy sell.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah,
And
this is
hipsters love Croatia, so they'll eat this up.
I'm waiting for the people to post in Jake's comments. Whatever made in Croatia, I only buy American. That's why I buy a Glock.
Look like it's made in Austria.
Well, not anymore. Now they're made in Smyrna.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if I'm sold. I think this will do well.
I think Pincus is backing it, and I think this is one of those times where I probably agree with him. Yeah, it's tough not to swallow there. Peter. That's
All right. Well, if you're looking for accessories for your Springfield Armory XD, you can check out Amazon. You can now contribute to the Firearms Radio Network and This Week in Guns by shopping Amazon. I recently bought a bench mat for my XD that has an exploded view on it. It's like a giant mouse pad thing. But that was pretty cool. I got that off Amazon. So you can contribute. Just look for the affiliate banners on thisweekinguns.com or firearmsradio.tv. We are to the full auto news segment, stories the real media won't talk about, and other crazy stuff. So this is where we pick one or two stories each to share. And John, I'll let you go first.
I'm debating the canned bacon or a teen being awesome in my area. I'll go with my area. We'll represent.
Do that one.
So apparently there was some accident or something like that, and there was a burning cop car, and this kid who was training to become a firefighter said he was watching cops when he heard a big bang outside. Officer Mark Kimsey had collided with a pickup truck and was trapped inside his squad car. When Chambers came upon the vehicle, it was already on fire and the flames were growing, but the officer was stuck. So, long story short, this kid ended up pulling the cop out of the car and kind of had his own real life. He's watching cops where this kind of stuff happens, and he hears a bang and goes out and does something fantastic. And, you know, Philly has a really bad rap. The cops in Philly have a really bad rap. But this kind of thing kind of warms you a little bit. You know, you feel a little better after reading a story like this.
Absolutely, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I call shenanigans because everyone knows the cop is on at 4:30. So
Yeah.
You're all sweaty.
Channel.
I think it's good to see stuff like this. I think with social media and the way we are as a society today, that it's very easy to, how do I put this? There's an old joke. There's a guy, I think I've told it here before. You build 100 miles of fence, you're not the fence maker. You build 100 miles of stone wall, you're not the wall maker or stone mason, but you do one sheep, and you're forever with that nickname. So I think it's very easy to know that sensationalism sells. Look at that, Jake. I did it without even having to bleep anything out.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very easy for us to refund and harp on all the negativity because, I mean, cops are people too, and everyone's bound to make a mistake, especially when everyone's got a camera phone. But you don't see enough of stuff like this where it's like, even in that environment, people out there still do have respect for the boys in blue, and they're still willing to help as a responsible citizen regardless. I like seeing articles like this. It's a humanitarian piece.
Very cool. Peter, what story do you want to hit first?
Okay, my favorite one is the lady who got. Here she is.
I knew you were gonna do it too.
She got arrested selling crystal meth, wearing a shirt that says "I love crystal meth."
I heart
crystal meth, right? And so, I guess that's not probable cause, because the cops went and got their canine Medusa. And then it's not a canine Medusa. That would be awesome. But the canine's named was Medusa, and the dog was like, yeah, either it could read or it smelled the crystal meth, and barked at her. And then they searched her, and lo and behold, she had crystal meth on her. And her lovely partner, who looks like another dude who would do crystal meth, right here. Like, just picture a lady in your mind, because this is on the radio for your podcast. Picture a lady in your mind that, like, a lady that would sell crystal meth, and that's this lady.
She looks like a second grade teacher that, you know, had a vacation that just went wrong and got stuck.
Yeah. It's like a second grade teacher was really nice, but then after years of meth use, you know, they have those pictures where it's like Uh,
Before and after, yeah.
yeah, but they have it like through all the years. Like they get arrested, like obviously, like every week. Once you start doing meth, you pretty much get bi-monthly arrest record, and so like they show all those pictures, and then they like deteriorate into. It's kind of like in.
It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Right
Yes,
before
the Lost Ark.
Right before the eyeballs fall out of the melting skull.
Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. How did you know that?
Because we're here, Peter. I like it. So it's
How
like
did you
right in
know
the
that?
middle, like perfectly fine
kinda
37-year-old
creeped me out a
to
little bit,
eyes
actually.
melting out of melting skull, right in between. If you just pause it, that's what we're looking at right
Yeah.
now. But with like, a
How did you know
diagram.
that? I'm like straight creeped out right now. Of all the things I was trying to get out of my mouth, you're like, oh, Indiana Jones and the.
I'm good at deciphering crazy.
All right.
So imagine
You're married, so.
an elementary school football coach, and that's kind of what the guy in this story looks like.
Elementary school football coach. He
Yeah,
still wears like those butt shorts.
Yeah,
like
you know what I mean?
the 1970s gym teacher shorts and the high socks.
That's what this guy looks like. He looks like he gives every male that walks through the hallways. He looks like he gives them a little pat on the rear. This guy looks. He's
Got the mustache. So
Yeah.
Hey, nothing wrong with the mustache.
yeah, but you have the chin thing, which gives you a little bit more of that soul glow, whereas this guy just has the straight mustache. So if you just cut that chin piece off of you, I'd be worried that you don't have your aviators on.
All right. Whitey, what story do you want to hit?
See, I was going for that one with the
Sorry.
Peter, but oh no, we're on the same page with that one. So,
Did you think of the analogy of the Lost Ark before I started talking, or did you hear me say Indiana Jones and then?
I started thinking about it right when John started talking because the two of you were like not painting the visual. I think that we were all thinking. So I think you and I thought about it. The brainwave hit at the same.
That's creepy, dude. I don't like that.
I want to know more about this concealed carrying employee saves 2 lives at Missouri Market. But I didn't get a chance to read it because I was busy thinking of Indiana Jones references.
The balloon thing is cool. It's like a flare. You know, have a flare gun to shoot up in the air. But in lieu of a flare you shoot up, it's like a balloon that stays there and lights up for a longer period of time, like a day or two. That's kind of cool.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, I want some of those, and they're little too. It's like a little compact thing, and then it goes up and stays there.
Yeah,
It looks like it's
a pocket-size rescue balloon that stays aloft for days.
And the balloon apparently says SOS on it, and it's bright orange and white. I mean, it's about the size of like an EpiPen for those of you out there. It's kind of about that same size, and that's really smart. I mean, it's just a different take, and flares. I mean, you get one shot, assuming you don't have extra flares. But it's a one-time use. It doesn't last, and this is definitely something that could really help. And if depending on how big that actual balloon is, I don't know if there's anything that says how big it gets, but that's really cool. I mean, it's definitely outside the box thinking.
So, the one that I had chose, well, all that does sound amazing. I have mixed emotions about this. Concealed carrying employee saves 2 lives at Missouri Market. So, here's the gist of the story. A customer comes in, wants to buy a bunch of stuff, and is clearly beyond the point of inebriated. They ask them to leave the store and to surrender his keys. Here's where the drama starts. The drunk refuses to, give them their keys. I'd do the same thing, like they're my keys. And there it is, Jake. Mark the time. I dropped a little mini F-bomb in there.
I think you broke up, so I think we're good.
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
Here, hold on. Mark the time. So they asked him to give the keys, and the person basically told him to pound sand, and they walked on. Now here's where it gets. There's certain things you should stick your neck out for, and certain things you shouldn't, in my opinion. In my situation, at this point, we take down the license plate number, we call the police because that's what they do, and let them do it. They followed the drunk to their car and encouraged them further to give up their keys. This person apparently became so unhappy with this repeated requesting to give up their keys that they pulled a gun from the glove box, aimed it at the employee. Employee drew back, hit him 2 or 3 times. Person was pronounced dead at scene. Now, that's life lost that, in my opinion, had an opportunity to not be there. And this person has put themselves out there, and they've taken a life. I don't know what that feels like. I don't know if I want to know what that feels like. But you have now taken a life for something that you could have reported to the police, that authorities could have done, and you need to be putting yourself in that position to have a gun pointed at you or have to use yours to take a life. Now, I carry mine locked, cocked, ready to rock all the time because if I am put in that position, I don't want anything to kind of – I can worry about it Monday morning quarterback it the rest of my life. That person will not. For a drunk that just got irate, I don't know. I don't want to side with the drunk. I don't want to side with somebody who drew a gun while drunk, and I agree that that person shouldn't have been on the road. I think it escalated when it had a chance to be de-escalated by the proper authorities.
Yeah, and
That's just my weird opinion. I mean,
no, I think you're spot on. I mean, unfortunately, in cases like this, there's a lot of details
right.
we just don't have. We don't know what exactly was said. We don't know what conversation. Right. This employee, I mean, this customer could have been a regular at this store, and they knew him. Or
right.
Typically, they say that, but let's give him the benefit here. You're spot on. This kid kind of escalated the situation, or the employee, and that's really unfortunate.
He had a gun on him. He knew that the whole time too.
Right. And we hope that I know that Whitey will agree with me here that your gun is not a license to be a pretend badass.
Right.
You are using that is on your person to defend your life, and with a gun pointed at you, you made a good call.
Yeah.
That's fine. Right. But you escalated the situation to that point, and we hope that people out there listening don't follow that path and kind of de-escalate when possible. That's why, to give you an example, let's say that there's some big event, it's a big shooting or something, you're at the mall and something like that happens, something breaks out. That's why guys will tell you to run and get out of there and not get involved.
Right.
They'll tell you to leave the situation and not escalate it by getting yourself involved. And you don't get to be the hero that day if you run and exit the scene, but it's obviously you make your own decisions. But I completely agree. This was escalated a little bit too far.
I think you're spot on about the details, and a lot of these articles do leave out. This guy could have even said something that, I'm going to go get my gun, blah, blah, and that's why he was like, all right, I got to go outside and square this guy away. If he was in a situation where he pulled this guy in the middle of the grocery store, hell yeah, you drop that clown because you're a responsible American citizen. It's not just a protection of your life. It's a parent had asked me, are you carrying a gun? As my kid, their kids, a couple of kids were playing. And I said, well, yeah. And they were like, aren't you afraid your kid's going to take it? And I looked at him and I said, do you think you can take it? And they kind of took a step back, maybe not the right approach, but they're like, no. And I said, so why do you think my kid's going to take it? And they're like, I don't know. Guns around kids. I said, so listen. I said,
I don't know. That's right.
My gun doesn't come out. My son doesn't talk about it. He knows where it is and what it does, and he knows not to touch it because he's not trained. I said, but if anything ever happened where I needed that thing, I said, I guarantee you my son will live to see another day. And as long as your kids are playing with my kids, they're under that same umbrella. So if anything, you should be thanking me and not worrying about if my kid's going to get or your kid's going to get my gun off of me that you can't get. And they're like, all right, I guess I could see that. And it's like, all right, so now we're all clear. You want to see my gun? No, I'm kidding. That didn't happen. But no, it's...
You want to touch it.
You want to touch it. It's I don't want people to think I'm advocating that he didn't do the right thing. I'm saying he could have gotten himself out of that situation entirely without having to be put in that position where he had to draw on somebody. It sucks because especially with drunk driving, nobody likes. That's like two worlds colliding. I mean, the amount of drunk driving deaths, the amount of firearm-related incident deaths, it's like the two worlds just collided. We stopped one.
Like every day in Louisiana, just drunk driving with guns. It's just like what happens. Like, high five.
High five.
Back when I used to drink, I actually got pulled over by a cop with like all the guns in the world in my car, and I was drunk. And she's like, "Why do you have so many guns in your car?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just can't imagine living without guns." All right, but it was clear. I'm like, "Man, I'm gonna go to jail." But no, I'm in Louisiana. Just...
Move along.
Yeah. The cop like sipped his Mardi Gras drink as he went back to his squad car.
It was a female cop.
Did she throw you some beads? Like I don't.
Yeah, no. It's just crazy, some of this stuff.
All right. So the one I'm going to pick is Florida police officer shot cop girlfriend in head and then killed himself.
I thought we were off of the depressing stuff.
Yeah, what the
This is bizarre. The story. So no criminal charges will be filed. So
This is the most depressing one, dude.
it is. It is.
autoplay.
Look at the smile on his face while talking about the depressing article.
So on Tuesday, so Young, which is Amy Young, is a wife here, returned to her home after a night out with friends. Witnesses told the Lee County Sheriff's Office that Young had driven home and appeared to be intoxicated. Upon Young's return, she and Monroe, which is the husband or guy, I guess they're not boyfriend. Excuse me. Yeah, you're right. Boyfriend. He was at home and had also been drinking. So they got in an argument. So it escalated. She was pushed to the ground, hit her head, and passed out. After regaining consciousness, Young said Monroe, her boyfriend, was still upset with her. She said that she became afraid and grabbed her police-issued gun from the nightstand. This is when her boyfriend yelled, "Really, Amy?" And sometime after that, shots were fired. And the girlfriend could not recall how she was shot, but remember waking up on the bedroom floor next to the boyfriend who was dead. And he had shot her in the face, apparently. And
It's like Romeo and Juliet.
shot himself in the head. But this is bizarre. They have 6 children that were in the house at the time, and they apparently didn't hear the shots because she woke up in the morning and ran out, and one of her kids found her, I think. But yeah, and the neighbors even noticed them coming home drunk and intoxicated, but the neighbors didn't report shots or anything either, which is really bizarre.
I don't mean to be gruesome here, but if there is something stopping the sound, such as a part of a human body, then you're not going to hear gunshots. They're not going to sound like normal gunshots. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when people commit suicide in gun ranges, you'll hear the other people that are out there. They say, you know, I heard something, but it didn't sound right.
Hmm.
You know, that it's always that. So I would assume that it's a little bit muffled.
Yeah, your head acts like as a silencer.
Yeah, there you go.
The more you know with Peter Palma.
So yeah, now that I brought us all down,
Thanks, Debbie.
yeah. So let's go to our pick of the week, unless we want to talk about the canned bacon.
No, it's okay.
No, but
do my own
guns, the
research.
word and handgun image is now banned in California, as the West Coast proves furthermore that it is full retard.
That word's banned too.
Guns, the word, is now
So-
banned in California. Guns.
So as always, there's way too many stories for us.
I would try to get people to try and say it, like, what word is banned? And they'd be like, guns. I'm like, oh, I got you.
It's like Pee-wee's Playhouse, but real life.
Yeah.
That's scary. So, yeah, you can check out thisweekinguns.com/093, and we have other stories such as what happens to a glow stick when you microwave it.
Oh, that was glorious. Oh, man, that was so funny.
Yeah, you should just YouTube
My favorite
that.
was the dad.
Yeah, the dad is the best part of that whole thing. Yeah, you guys have to go watch that.
Yeah,
Click on
go
the show
watch it.
notes.
It's in the show notes. We're to the pick of the week where we pick a gun, accessory, or gadget to talk about. So, John, I'll let you go first this week.
Okay, so I've talked about my Savoy leather holster for my Desert Eagle before, and I got something else from Jeremiah, great guy that runs that company. I just got it out of the box. This is my double thick leather belt from Savoy Leather. This is something to kind of go along with my holster and properly support it. It's a really, really good quality belt, and I just kind of wanted to give a shout out to him. He's got these really cool new wallets that he just came out with the I guess you would call it the "Let Me Die in a Pile of Empty Brass" slogan. And you guys should definitely check out SavoyLeather.com. I mean, I know Josh. Josh actually introduced me to what Jeremiah does, and it's absolutely amazing. He's an artist on the holsters, and he's also got a lot of other cool stuff. And Josh, I know you got some stuff to add.
I have my own belt model. It's the Whitey. It's got the 3% with the 13 stars around it on the American flag, and it's just on the tongue, and that's it. So there's no like crazy Molon Labe all around or anything. It's just one nice little tasteful, and then he's got his little logo right by the little loop where the thing goes in. It's gorgeous, nice dark tobacco burst tan. He knows what he's doing with leather. He's made me hundreds of leather things, including like the FGG members, key fobs and everything. If I have anything that even remotely involves leather, I'm going to Jeremiah. Savoir.
It seems like he makes 100 things a day.
Dude, there is nobody that works harder than that guy. I mean, you call him. It'll be like right now. I texted him to let him know we were going on the show, and he's at the shop working. You know what I mean? That's what he does.
Which is craziness.
Very cool. You can check that link out in the show notes. Peter, what do you have?
I'm going to go with the Vortex Spark 2. Like for years, I guess people would just say, "Oh, I want to put an optic on my AR, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. What am I? And I'll be like, well, the EOTech is like the cheapest thing that I would throw on an AR as far as optic is concerned. That's could take a beating and do what you need to do and things like that. And then obviously it would go up in price from there. But I think that the Vortex has been really good at filling that medium-priced, good quality, not just with that dot optic, but all their other optics. And I really think that the Spark 2 now, which is MSRPs for about $200, probably holds that title at this point. Where if somebody were to ask me, I want to put an optic on my gun, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. They used to have just a bunch of crap, like a BSA red dot or some weird Bushnell crap or something like that, to like a scope that didn't make any sense, like a 3x9. Like, what do you need a 9-power scope for a 55 grain bullet for? Like, I don't understand.
I thought you didn't even use optics. You were like Mr. Iron Sights, and now you're like Vortex Spark 2.
No, I don't like iron sights at all.
Okay.
That's somebody else. You're confusing me.
I think you're onto something with this kind of filling a void in the market.
They really did a great job of not with all of the optics. So like if you want a long range optic for like a 308 or something, Vortex has it, man. I mean, I used to drink Night Force Kool-Aid all day long, but they kind of went the way of like a lot of these big companies like HK did. Like they had great products, they realized they could sell it for an exorbitant amount of money, and then they sat back and rested on their laurels, and they didn't really improve at all. And Vortex is like the opposite of that. They filled that gap, and they are outthinking some of these companies, and their prices are way down. So they're not perfect, but I mean, for the price they are. So you can't get a better optic for cheaper than Vortex, and especially the Spark 2. So.
Compared to the Spark 1, it's a huge improvement. The starbursting has been eliminated. The up and down works a lot better, and it's a little bit more compact and lighter as well. I really actually like it, and I had never really considered it a red dot before because I'm an aim point snob. But for $110, $100, it really is a good little optic if you're afraid to go with like a primary arms or something like that. And they rate really high with a lot of reviewers.
And that's what I look at. Like, okay, Aimpoint, same thing. Okay, that's a great product. It's 6 times the amount. You get 6 Spark 1s for the price of 1 T1. You know what I mean? And then for just a little bit more, you could get an ACOG, a 1.5 power ACOG, which will just eat up the Aimpoint, in my opinion. So,
I'm done talking to you.
The 1.5 power ACOG is the bomb. There's no reason to have a...
It's not the bomb. It's everyone who used them over in the service comes back and still swears by them because it's what they had in the service. But there's so many options now. The ACOG is kind of even the your Viper, if you're like in Vortex, your Viper.
Yeah, I have that. I have one.
As well as even the Trijicon VCOG is miles above and beyond what an ACOG can do. Eye relief.
That's why I said the 1 power. The 1.5 power, it has like a 9-inch eye relief on that ACOG. The 4 power ACOGs, it does. The 4 power ACOG, I will get you. That sucks. But the 3 power and the 1.5 power, have you ever seen a 1.5 power ACOG? Have you messed with it? Have you shot through it?
I don't even need to. It's 1.5 power. What is the point?
What's the point of 0 power?
Do you mount that near the muzzle
You couldn't.
with that 9.5 inch?
Well, I mean, you could get up within half an inch from it, or you could be about 9 inches away from it and still have 0 scope shadow. So, anyway.
So how about that Vortex Spark that you were?
You know what? Here's the thing. You buy 6 Vortex Spark 2s, and it's better than 1 aim point. You break one, you throw it away, and you still have 5 other ones, and you'll outlive your aim point T1. Aim point is resting on the laurels,
Yes.
price gouging the people.
Let's not turn this into an argument.
Yeah, this is going to be shoving forward all day long.
No,
All right.
So I'm right, and you want to be wrong. You could live like that. So that's your choice. You know?
Oh,
I mean-
Peter Palma.
Josh, what do you have?
Today we have an oldie but goodie for me. Since we've started Four Guys Guns, I have, a lot of people don't really know, I have a pretty bad case of psoriasis that flares up, especially in the New England cold, and I always wear gloves for the most part. There's some reviews out there you'll see I'm not wearing gloves, and those were like good days, so to speak. But especially on my joints, and when you do one-handed racks, if you have to clear double feeds, you do all this stuff, gun oil, hot fouling, pinching, I have layers of skin that just come off. Instant bleeding, instant cracking, hard to, almost like arthritic when it comes to moving your hands around. So I've always used Mechanics Wear gloves. Recently I've started trying other brands, and I do like them, but they just sent me these really, really nice, they came out with at last SHOT Show, all that multicam. I mean, look, you can't even tell that I have gloves on camera right now because they're all multicammed up. They're also using a new material in the palm, so I can actually still work my iPhone with their new 0.5 mil, which was a big hang-up for me, being the whole social media and posting and video stuff, working touchscreens. So the fact that I can still protect my hands, still hold hot barrels, hot casings, hot suppressors when I have to move stuff around, and still be able to work phone, iPad, and camera stuff, check them out, mechanicswear.com, or mechanics.com, MECHANIX, and I mean, look at that. Sexy time.
All right. Well, my pick of the week is that Walmart is having a 20% off all firearms on Black Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, Walmart carries a lot of budget, starter guns, you might say. Entry-level guns. A lot of 22s that would be good for kids to start.
But no ammo. No 22 ammo.
Tell me about it. So it maybe swung by there and check out a Cricket or a 1022, or some Walmarts even have AR-15s as well. Mine doesn't, because I was told I'm in the Chicagoland area, so my Walmart can't have AR-15s for some reason.
Crazy.
That's cool though. They already have them at really. It's Walmart. They lean on the distributors so much that the prices go down as far as they possibly can, and now they're putting a 20% discount on that. That's pretty cool.
Well, it's also buying power. I mean, you're not just buying for one Walmart. You're buying for 3,040. So your price is just based on volume. We're gonna go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right. Well, talk a little bit about the This Week in Guns Patreon campaign, and I just got some I'm with Chaos stickers that the $15 patrons will be receiving.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. So these are pretty awesome, and maybe I'll do some other giveaways with them too.
Cool.
But yeah, Patreon is an easy way to support the program through crowdfunding via patreon.com/week, and check it out. All I ask is you consider maybe giving $1 an episode. If you find value in this programming, helps us put these shows out. And if you decide to give it a little more, like at the $15 level, the Battle Box level, we have awesome stuff like the ammo cans behind me from Duke Cannon Supply Company. They're big-ass bricks of soap, 5 big-ass bricks of soap in there, and the real steel ammo can. And then, I have all kinds of hats and T-shirts that I throw in too. And all Patreons that are at the dollar level or higher get awesome Firearms Radio Network and This Week in Guns stickers. And then back to the $15 patrons, they also get $50 Duluth Trading Company gift cards, $25 GunGoddess.com gift cards, and so much more. So check it out, patreon.com/week. And John, why don't you talk a little bit about the I'm With Chaos Patreon?
So the I'm With Chaos Patreon campaign is very similar. It's a great way to support what I do. When I'm not on This Week in Guns or some other Firearms Radio Network show, I'm out there making gun videos and really high quality content about guns. That's what I do. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I want to continue doing it to the point where honestly, I'm trying to make it a full-time career, and in order to do that, I look for support from people that get enjoyment out of the content that I bring, and much like what Jake does, you get things back in return. I actually just packed up the first batch since I started doing it, the first batch of Chaos packs, as I call them, that are going out. It's hats, T-shirts, swag. I got a bunch of CLP in there. I've got some MS Clean kits in there. Some of the first aid, the red version. Some of the full kits are going out. I mean, it's really cool. There's a lot of awesome stuff that you can get, and while you do that, you can support me creating high quality content, because a lot of guys will say, well, I can just sit down and I can talk to a camera and I can make gun content. Yeah, you can, and you can do a really bad job at that. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying that everybody else out there sucks. There are a ton of guys that make good quality content. What I'm saying is that I'm all about that quality, and I don't just stand there and read off a spec sheet. I do things a little differently, and I highly encourage you to check out patreon.com/I'mWithChaos. And
I'm sorry, I forgot the $15 patrons of This Week in Gun also get the MS kits, and the $5, or is it 5 or 7? I forget. $7 level, which is the Newsbuster preparedness level, get the first aid kit to put, or shell to put whatever first aid things in it that you need.
You could also put candy in there. Peter showed us that.
Makeup. Some of my roller girls put makeup in it.
Yeah.
You can mess with somebody, just fill it full of nerds.
I sent one to Dugan Ashley, and I literally filled it so full of Skittles that it didn't make any noise. You just shoved it out. So when you open it, there's Skittles everywhere.
Now do it with nerds and just drive somebody insane. Imagine vacuuming that.
I'm gonna go. I really want nerds now. You see, I'm gonna have to go to the store in the cold to get them now.
I thought you were in Louisiana. It's cold there.
It is cold here.
What's it like? 65?
Yeah. And humid?
I don't know. It's so cold I can't even. Let me look at it.
It's so cold it's snowing here. Get over it.
You on your non-iPhone to find what the temperature is.
All right. Well, that about wraps up the show. So, Josh, Four Guys Guns, what is going on?
Four Guys Guns, the members site is actually, it's like the Death Star. It's fully functional, but it's not all the way live. People can check it out if they were so inclined. They can go to 4guysguns.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see FGG members. You can actually see our intro video, so what it's all about. For you to get past that, though, it is a subscription-based item, and we're not fully live yet because we have a few last tweaks. We should be live and open and advertising to the public that it's there either this weekend or Monday. I did want to say, and this is not me promoting Four Guys Guns, this is me saying a lot of people don't kind of put a lot of weight into what John says and what Jake says when it comes to Patreon. So we don't use Patreon. Four Guys Guns has different revenue streams, but when you go and you base a firearm purchase, an accessory purchase off of something you see online, that is the kindness of that person's heart. It's a labor of love. It is a passion. It's a hobby. And some people take it to the next level. And if you have any faith in that at all, This is like back in the old days when you couldn't write. You had to be picked up by a publisher who would actually publish a book, and then you were a published author. Nowadays, anybody can make a book. No big deal. The same thing goes for videos. If you want good videos, well, that stuff costs money, and it's got to come from somewhere. If you want good videos that are going to promote your ideas, thoughts, morals on whether your next purchase is good or not, or whether a product is good or not, someone like John, someone like Jake who puts this information out there, it may seem like it's, well, I don't want to do this, so I'm just going to ask everyone else for money. No. This is the same thing that networks do with sponsorship, is the same thing that networks do to get ad time, and this is something that they're saying, hey, if you like what I do, pay into it, because I can't afford to, you know, get, I don't know, ESPN as a sponsor. I can't afford to get, you know, MS Clean Kits to pay, you know, for a weekly spot. It's just a smaller sourcing of funding.
I can't afford it either.
Everyone likes. So I mean, I think everyone should take a good hard look at Patreon and not look at it as this stigma of, you know, I want free stuff. Look at it as, I want to continue to see something that this person is doing, and I am willing to even put $1 at it. So that's
right.
my soapbox on Patreon.
Right, and all of us are always looking to take things to the next level as far as the content we produce, and you know, it takes money.
I maxed out 3 credit cards building 4 Guys Guns. 3 credit cards, and that's,
dude.
My credit is shot from starting a business, but it's starting to come back because now I have revenue streams. Now, if you don't have a revenue stream for that, it's just a hobby. Listen, you can't explain guns and camera gear to your wife forever. At some point, she's going to see them books come tax time and be like, what the hell have you been doing? So this stuff isn't free, despite, yes, there are free people out there doing it, but do you watch that and go, this really answered my questions, and thank you for the high quality video so I can totally see your back as you fiddle with something? Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of bad content out there. I'm in the same boat with John.
All right, Peter, MS Clean Kits, where can people find them, and what's going on?
Same old stuff going on. You can find them at www.mscleankits.com, or you can just Google MS space clean space kits, and you'll be able to find them there. We're also on Instagram and all that same stuff. Just use Google, and it'll tell you everything you want to know. And if you're too lazy to like find all that, then I don't know what to tell you. So. Will
Google tell you the weather? Could we find that?
It's 37 degrees right now, and tonight's going to go down to 28.
How is it 37 degrees there?
I'm telling you, and this house, this is my sole source of heat right here. That little thing in the window.
That's not a heater.
That's an air conditioner, Peter.
No, it's a heat. It says heat on it, too, and it makes noise. All right?
Okay. What's the temperature outside?
It's 37 degrees right now, and so and I'm 2 feet above the ground, and there's no insulation in this building. I'm cold. Me and Charlie are inside, snuggling up.
How is Louisiana the same temperature as Nashua, New Hampshire? That's what I want to know. Global warming, proven.
Yeah.
Al Gore, where is he? Man, bear, pig.
It's gonna freeze tonight. People are wrapping their plants in cellophane.
For listeners, who is Charlie?
Charlie's my one-eyed stray cat that I let inside sometimes.
Oh, okay.
So he's sleeping over here. Let me see if we can see him. Where are we at?
What are you doing right now?
There he is, right there.
Watching in real time. Is that like bunk beds? What is going on here?
That's bunk beds. He's on the bottom bunk, upside down, sleeping. I don't know if you can see that brown mass. That's him. It's a Hannah Montana sheets.
Charlie.
If we didn't know you, it's your apartment's a little I can't come up with the word. Yeah, that's
It's for my own episode of To Catch a Predator, where
all right. Well, he went there. I didn't have to.
I pretend I'm an 11-year-old girl when the guy shows up. It's instead of Chris Hansen, it's just me with a suppressed 22 and my angle grinder. I'm like, why don't you take a seat? And then I start reading into it from transcripts as I turn my angle grinder on and off.
Wow.
Well, that wraps up this show. So your feedback and commenting on the bottom of this episode at thisweekinguns.com/093. If you have ceased listening to this program, please send hate mail to whitey@4guysguns.com. Leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe there. Never miss a show, and please consider contributing via our affiliate links via Brownells and Amazon. And I think that's about a wrap. So thank you, John.
Thanks for having me on, Jake. It's always a good time, man.
For sure. And thank you, Josh.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Peter.
Meow.
And that's a wrap.
So, your name is?
Stavros Milos,
And your address?
Armenia.
Armenia.
I am from Armenia. I am visiting my brother.
I see. Occupation?
Shepherd.
A shepherd?
My whole family. Except for my brother over here, who is a rug salesman.
Have you had any major illnesses?
No.
None. Good. So, now, what seems to be the trouble?
I'm in love with a sheep.
I beg your pardon?
I am in love with a sheep.
This Week in Guns, everybody. Signing off.
What is that about?
What was that? Nobody was expecting the I love a sheep.
I see.
See, Doctor, up there in the mountains where I tend my flocks, it's so beautiful under the starry skies. And I am alone. And sometimes it gets so lonely. And the hours pass. And soon I desire a woman. But, Doctor, there are no women. I'm not married and... Well, one night last summer, I could stand it no longer. My body needed to be satisfied.
Oh my god.
And then
Make it stop.
I saw her.
What is
Her.
What is
Daisy.
Sheep.
I took Daisy off to a little cove, and there, under the Armenian sky, had sexual intercourse.
Gene Wilder. What movie is this?
Yeah.
Naturally.
It's Charlie and Chocolate Factory.
Oh, that's a deleted scene.
Deleted scene.
You lose!
It was the greatest lay I ever had.
That's actually the grandpa from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, yes.
It's from everything you've always wanted to know about the world.
Wow.
And that's